Hi, and welcome back to another episode in the ArcSight Logger demonstration of what we can do and use within the system itself. And this time we're actually going to be digging in a little bit more detail around a very simple investigation. Now, I touched on this briefly before with regards to just doing a very simple lookup against some activity on, say, port 443, SSL. It's a common one to want to dig into with the lookup list example. So in this time, I actually want to go into a bit more detail around how you would typically go around the process, what are the options and some of the capabilities that we can bring to bear around looking at and investigating some traffic. In this case, it's HTTP traffic to some web servers. So we have a demonstration environment here. We have lots of log data, and I just quickly logged in, and we can see there's some simple dashboards that we come up with to start with. That's okay. So actually, what I want to do is I want to jump straight in and just start doing some searches against some of the data I'm seeing. Now, in this example, like I say, we've actually talked about destination port being 443. So again, we're doing a field search here. Actually, we just want to do that data in there. Notice as I type it, it's actually, it's filling out the field, so it's actually giving me some prompts to do that. But additionally, it's actually doing a lookup here against the time period that I'm looking at, which in this case is 10 minutes, but it's actually looking up, seeing some of the examples here. It's actually matching some of that data as well. But actually what I want to do is I want to do this over the last 24 hours and get that running to see some of the data. Now, I have a demonstration system. It's got some log data in. It's not actually going to be fully complete for everything that's in there, but we'll get a good understanding of some of the data in there. And as we can see, we've got 2,000 hits across 1 million events scanned. So it's nice and quick, and it's prompt as part of that process. But we can see some of the fields that we can see across here. There's lots and lots of data in there. And actually, as I start my investigation, I probably just want to be focusing on some simple and straightforward stuff. So I could actually reduce the field sets and reduce that down to a limited set of what we're looking for. And in this case, actually, we just want to show some security events. So actually, I need to just update my little dynamics set of searches there that are appearing here. So now we're actually just focusing on security relevant events on port 443. So it's only going to be displaying a limited set of fields now, as you can see, and we've updated some data here. So actually now we can start to look into some of this data. So actually, I just click on the device product. So now we can see that on port 443, we're getting that from a number of sources, and it seems to be the vast majority is coming through a FortiGate and so on. If I actually look at the name of the events themselves, we can see that, again, the vast majority of the data here is coming through from a traffic accept, or it's a Cisco NetFlow event as well. So we can start to see and understand that the majority of our traffic is being accepted, going through our FortiGate firewalls, or it's some NetFlow traffic as well. So now we're starting to profile, having a bit of an understanding of what's going on just by some very simple searches and clicking on a couple of fields there to display a table and a chart. So actually I want to dig into things a little bit more. I actually want to look at a particular filter here. So we're looking at the demo HTTPS search, and we're looking for the top example, which is that one. So we just load and then click go. And now we see that our search is a little bit more elaborate. So we can see we're looking for port 443 traffic. We're doing a top, which gives us our top, in this case, top 10 of combinations, where the outcome, where we've got the vendor, a source address and destination address, and where this particular log data has come from as well. So we can see now in our chart, we've got a nice little chart to display this, but we can see our table here that, again, exactly what we just looked at, that quite a lot of this data that we're seeing is going through our particular Fortinet firewall system, that it's going through a combination of source and destinations, and it's coming from 2 different firewalls. Now we're starting to understand a little bit around what's going on and how that's actually happening. So, okay, now it's interesting. But actually what we are seeing here is we're also seeing a bit of denied traffic as well. So that's quite interesting. So actually I want to dig into that in a little bit more detail. So actually I'll look up to that one. What I can do is I can just literally click it, and it drills down. It just applies the extra search criteria to my search up here. And now I can see what's going on. And actually, if I just change that as an example, I could do some further investigation around and try to understand combinations of source and destinations. But as an example, what I can do is I can now look at this data in a different way. So why don't I look at the HTTPS tail? So let's just load and run that search. So what does that give us? So now it's very similar, but we're doing the last sort of effectively running what we call a tail to the last and least common events that we've actually seen. So now we're seeing that there's again a set of combinations of going on. It's similar to what we call the rare function, but we're just seeing effectively the last few events here. We can see that, hang on a minute, there's some very interesting stuff going on with regards to SSL and some GET requests here, with obviously some additional characters that are being displayed. Now we're starting to understand again that there's some combinations of source and destinations here that are giving us some cause for concern. We need to dig into this in a little bit more detail. So okay, what we can do now is we can actually just be a little bit more clever about this. So actually what we'll do is we'll just delete that and just do rare 5 name. So give me the least common 5 events of that combination. So we've looked at the data from an overall perspective of the most frequent data combinations going through our FortiGate firewall. We've seen that in a chart. We can look at that data in more detail. We're also looked at the most relevant events that we're looking at, and now we're looking at the least common events. So again, we're trying to drill down and trying to understand. So now we're starting to see some of this admin login attempt, some unusual gets with regards to what's actually happening as well. So this is quite interesting, and again, as part of the process, this is just a demonstration with some pre-canned log data in it, but actually what probably want to do is digging into this in a lot more detail to look at the actual events and what they're calling and who's logging in and so on, and carry out some searches according to that as well. Of course, I could just click on that and drill through. What I can just quickly do is I can load another quick search that I previously saved here. So again, search down, and we look at the this one bytes, and we run go. This is again a little bit more sophisticated. So we're looking at destination of 443, and we're doing a combination of a report here effectively for the chart that's doing a combination of bytes in and bytes out. It's calculating that. It's then doing the sum there. It's displaying that again based on the source and destination, and just doing the top 10. So we're doing the top 10 combinations of the 2 most talkative source and destinations. And again, we would expect to see a certain amount of data between proxies and so on. But in this case, we can actually see that there is an awful lot of data going in and some data going out. So there's a very big disparity going on here. So again, we'd probably look to carry out some further investigation of what's actually occurring and how we're looking at that data. But this is actually a good example of picking out some data here with regards to how we're doing things by leveraging the categorization and the normalization that we're using. So we're able to see whether traffic is accepted or denied because it's telling me that it's showing me without having to do any additional computation. Additionally, from a normalization, we're actually getting this data about what's coming in and going out, and I can calculate this. In this particular example, and you can see it here, my particular very simple search, I'm just doing a straightforward sum of the data here, but you can see this is both on my FortiGate firewalls and my Cisco NetFlow data as well. So it's actually giving me that data, and I don't have to break it down. I could add a further criteria in this to say just do it on the FortiGate firewalls, for example. The great thing here is that because that categorization giving me consistent fields and data, and because of the normalization to allow me to identify it based on the events and drop and accept and so on, means that I don't have to worry about the versions, the device, the products, or the source where this log data is coming from. I can do it very simple and very straightforward. So as you can see, my investigation, I can start to drill down and really start to understand what some of these IP addresses and combinations are. And again, I can just click and drill down and do some further analysis. So I think that's given a very good example of the scenario of looking at some unusual activity and some traffic and just looking at different ways we can slice that data. And of course, all this could be displayed in a dashboard as well. So with that, I will finish, and thank you very much for your time.